The little creature, surrounded by flowers, is dozing, unaware of the changes to come. A sudden awakening from a bright light causes the little eyes to widen with fright and confusion. A babble of uncertain sounds escapes his lips as an incomprehensible window of information pops up in front of him. Memories flash through his mind, showing a past life, a mobile game, and a failed investment. A growing panic and realization of the ridiculous situation encompasses the small creature trapped in the child's body. An icy terror pierces the mind as the cruel fate waiting ahead is revealed. The shadow of foregone death looms over the small figure, doomed to fall at the hand of its own father. Helplessness and despair lash out, realizing the tragic nature of what is destined. An unexpected cry attracts the attention of others concerned about the little mistress' condition. The soft hands of a maid lift the child, trying to understand the cause of the tears and promising speedy help. The warmth and care of the maid envelopes, but the realization of an inevitable fate does not let go. Disappointment and disbelief in what is happening, realizing that this is not a dream, but a cruel reality. Flashes of anger and protest arise in the soul from the realization of injustice. Fear pierces through at the thought that 9 years is all that is measured in this world. The plea for salvation, the cry for help drowns in the silence of the luxurious chambers. The futility of hoping for a miracle makes one resign oneself to the inevitable. Determination to live this second life as best as possible, despite the fate. Rethinking the situation and realizing one's privileged position in a wealthy family. Relief that the family is not that of bankrupt aristocrats, but the neglect by the parents is distressing. Frustration at the lack of self-interest on the part of the parents is replaced by a plan to escape when the time comes. The realization that this world is a world of play puts a damper on future plans. Memories of the game Reincarnation, life solved by dice, flash through my mind. The principles of the game come to mind, rolling dice to choose a character, and making decisions at plot forks. The realization of one's low rank in the game and a failed dice roll makes one cringe. Not knowing the name given in this world causes anxiety and longing. Acceptance of the lack of interest on the part of the father, due to a terrible prediction of fate. The non-appearance of the mother brings to mind the classic plot of the cold father and absent mother. The desire not to jump to conclusions, and wait for the situation to become clearer. Parental reluctance to pay attention is replaced by impatient waiting for a name to help make a rescue plan. The feeling of sleepiness caused by infancy postpones all plans for the future. The hope that everything that happens is an investment in the future. Feeling satiated and peaceful after feeding. Confusion over the hustle and bustle and preparation in the room. Confusion over the sudden renovation of the baby's room. Genuine interest in the shiny goblet elicits a smile and approval from the maids. The maids argue about the child's insight, marveling at her intelligence and observation. The decision to pretend to be an ordinary infant so as not to arouse suspicion. The realization of her tiny age, and the sudden lifting of restrictions on access to information. The emergence of full character information including gender, name and cruel fate is horrifying. Disappointment at the lack of a characterization and ability window despite the information access opened up. The final confirmation of a horrible fate is jarring. Anger and frustration over the fact that all the money spent on improving the cube in the game has gone to waste. The strange message about being sent to another world received the last time the cube was improved comes to mind. The realization that the dice improvement has led to this horrible fate is despairing. Attempts to calm down and pull oneself together, so as not to make the situation worse. Determination to think positively and change the fate that has been set. Realization that due to infancy it is difficult to check the effect of the cube reinforcement. Belief that it will be possible to change rank and destiny as in the game. Accepting one's status as a third-ranked character with a terrible fate and waiting for the master of the manor to return. The caring maids working tirelessly. The realization that the mother is absent clarifies the situation of her non-appearance. The decision to live quietly and inconspicuously so as not to attract attention. Various unpleasant plans are born in the mind. Discussion of recent events on the estate. The disbelief that one can change one's fate like a game. Realization that there is still time before the 9th birthday and one must act. Decision to change his fate at all costs, and not let the game developers go unpunished. A greeting from the maid. A remark about improving his mood. The decision to get closer to the servants. Anxiety over the master's return. Fear of the father as a potential murderer. accepting his fate and awaiting his fate. Attempts to sleep. The appearance of the father and the growing fear. Information about the history of the world where the action takes place. An explanation of the confrontation between humanity and demons. Information about the role of noble families in fighting the forces of evil. The anticipation of meeting the father. The nervous anticipation. The appearance of the father. Experiences fear because of the father's look. Does not know what to expect from the father. Decides to use all his childish charm. Pretends to be asleep. Enjoys the nanny sticking up for him. Nanny is surprised that the child makes eye contact. Conversation between the nanny and the father. Father talks about the similarity of the blood. Decides to avoid the father's gaze. Suddenly father takes him in his arms. Decides to continue pretending to be asleep. Embarrassment ensues. Hopes his father won't kill him. Prayer of salvation. Likes the nanny's attitude. Father goes to his room. Thanks fate that he is still alive. Enjoys the care of the maid. Remembers his father's rare golden eyes. Recognizes that his father is at least a marquis. Thinks about who the father is in the original story. Realizes that his family doesn't play an important role in the story. Decides it's about time he got a name. Father leaves again. Father returns early. The maid tries to cheer him up. Enjoys the attention of the maids. Excited by the maid's reaction. Remembers that he looks like his mother. Maid apologizes to Lady Heiress. Tries to work things out with his mother. Possible tropes. Something between father and mother. Trying to survive. Poor little one. A conversation between the maids. The maids discussing. Cold attitude. What a soulless creature. Should he be confronted? Create a meme. Something glittered. A 3-star cue? Conditions not met. Event initiated. Event initiated. Conditions not met. Conditions are not met. Conditions met. What if it was a dream? You don't look well. You look sick. Did you have a nightmare? The master will be back. He won't come today. The foreman's coming down. Avoid eye contact. You avoid eye contact. It needs a name. I hope it's a beautiful name. Gyrza will do. What you're seriously talking about? Dice time selection system. What's that now? Player actions. I can move again. Name change. Alyssa Flowers, yes. Let's change the name. The baby will be called Alyssa. Alyssa G. Druin. Congratulations, miss. No way. Character information. Character information. What? Very detailed. Draven, by the way. The dragon pattern on the brooch. Dukes aren't dragons. House Draven. Was something special. What else have I read about them? Family has many secrets. Takes a child from the Drawine family. End up dying after giving birth. Even the Drawine family. Can't resist. Could kill me. You're quite right. Too long. A grand banquet. How long will it take you? Then do it in a month. As you command. I'll inform the head maid myself. I see your ladyship. Not even a goodbye. Is she holding on to the brooch at the front? Perhaps she's surprisingly shy. It's been a week since my name was called. Pretending to be asleep because my father continues. You, what's your name? Realized it's someone else. Asked Agnes. Taking care of Alice. Careful Agnes. Lou, unusual behavior you say. Speak clearly, Amenson. What do you mean? Leave the mansion tomorrow. This is not the time. I must protect Agnes. Your actions will determine the options available. I'm used to the icy stare. Now is the chance. Good, now I know. Fire me. Alyssa likes you. Still wants to kick you out. Let Agnes go. When I grow up, I'll pay you back. His fist? If he dares hit me. We've prepared a gift. It's a special gift for you. They'll say it's a daughter. Do you care about that? Think of your reputation. The little princess, lying in her crib, is furious at the lies she has heard. The father looks wistfully at his daughter, then at himself, admitting to saying stupid things to an infant. Little Alyssa exhales in relief, realizing she is acting like a child in an infant's body. Maid Agatha gazes admiringly at the brooch, anticipating that it is a gift from her master. The close-up of the brooch makes the maid think that the gentleman appreciates it very much. Agatha holds the princess fondly in her arms, admiring the fine workmanship of the jewelry. Alyssa sighs, not understanding why she was given this brooch. Agatha smiles happily, seeing that Alyssa has cheered up. The maid is sure that the reason for the princess's revival is because her dismissal has been cancelled. Her father asks the maid to watch Alyssa closely, assuming that the girl has grown attached to her. Agatha feels gratitude. Agatha is surprised by the gentleman's sudden kindness, but feels gratitude. Alyssa and Agatha are drawn in cartoon style. Alyssa is shocked at Agatha's reasoning behind the brooch. Alyssa is shocked as she tries to stop Agatha from further raptures she hears in the background of the grand hallway. Time flies quickly and Alyssa's first birthday approaches. The maid checks the presents. Alyssa wakes up to the noise, squinting unhappily. Alyssa is glad to be able to roll over onto her tummy. Alyssa realizes that it is dangerous to speak in full sentences, so she keeps quiet for now. The maids are surprised that the princess already knows how to roll over and decide to prepare her for the party. The maids prepare a bath for the princess, filling it with bubble bath. One of the maids is concerned that the restaurant needs immediate help. The maids bathe the princess, ask her to stay out of the way and leave. Alyssa wakes up in her father's arms, vaguely remembering when she fell asleep. Alyssa sees the maid and fearfully calls out to her. The maid is pleased that Alyssa slept well. The maid is about to leave and Alyssa's father tensely watches. Alyssa is cautioned not to squeeze her too tightly, she is still weak. Her father holds Alyssa in his arms and asks if they think he doesn't know how to control his strength. And Alyssa is shocked at this display of fatherly affection. Alyssa panics and looks for the maid. Alyssa screams in fright when she sees her father. Her father takes Alyssa in his arms, trying to calm her down. Alyssa accepts her fate. Her father looks at her sadly. Alyssa is angry at her father for holding her in the wrong way. Alyssa resents the awkward pose in her father's arms. Father promises that everything will be all right. Alyssa cries because of the awkward position. Father tries to figure out what happened while thinking about the diaper. Alyssa is furious that her father is thinking about the diaper. Alyssa falls silent in her father's arms, and he wonders if this is a temporary crankiness. Alyssa tries to tolerate the discomfort. Her father is concerned about her condition. Alyssa snaps at her father. Father walks away with Alyssa in his arms. She tries to negotiate with him. Alyssa, unhappy with the pose, tries to push her father away. Father is about to go to the banquet, but is stopped, saying that Alyssa is expected there. The father, demonstrating that Alyssa is unwell, asks for a doctor. The maid examines Alyssa, and father looks on anxiously. The father, holding Alyssa in his arms, listens to the maid. The maid assures him that Alyssa is fine. Father does not believe the maid's words. The maid suggests that Alyssa is uncomfortable and advises her to support her neck properly. Father is surprised that Alyssa couldn't have fallen. The maid, with a sly smile, asks to hug Alyssa again. Preparations for the banquet are in full swing. Father is reminded about the brooch for Alyssa. Father reflects on the attention to the babies. The arrival of Duke Lexios is announced. Father and daughter enter the hall where everyone is waiting for them. The guests congratulate the birth of the princess and give cloths. Alyssa is bored. Agatha collects the gifts. The guests marvel at the magical beast egg. The guests present are thrilled with Albert's gift, saying that Draven has everything for the little princess. Alice is shocked at the gift of the magical beast egg. Alice thinks that she, with her short life, doesn't need it. Alice is surprised that everyone is still bringing gifts. Alice is struck by the sight of a little boy. Alice guesses that the main character is in front of her. Everyone congratulates Alice's father, Lord Draven, on the birth of his daughter. Alice reflects on what is happening. A guest praises Alice's father for his dangerous monster hunting, preparing a gift for the protagonist. Lord Draven is delighted with a rare stone. Alice is surprised that it is a dice stone. Alice remembers where she has seen such a stone. A meeting between Alice and the protagonist. A solemn speech in Alice's honor. Alice tries to understand what they were trying to tell her. Alice wants to go to bed as soon as possible. Alice is shocked that not all the presents have been given yet. Alice is surprised that her father presented her with a painting. Alice is calm knowing that the painting is good. Alice is shocked at her father's appearance in the painting. Presentation of the painting. Everyone is excited about the portrait with the brooch. Alice thinks she doesn't need another brooch. Alice pretends to fall asleep. The audience marvels at the father's attitude towards his daughter. Everyone is surprised by the father's tenderness. Summarizing the event. The conclusion of the reception in honor of the birth of the princess. Whispers behind Alice's back. Alice is unhappy about the noise disturbing her sleep. Alice hears an unfamiliar voice. Alice is shocked by the strangers. The children are looking at Alice. The children are delighted with Alice. Someone asks to speak more quietly. Alice does not understand what is happening. The children are secretly watching Alice. The children admire Alice's father and herself. The girl is surprised that Alice is not crying. The boy does not understand why Alice does not cry. Alice remembers the names of the children. Alice remembers the children's names. The prince asks the children to leave. The children ask to stay. The children keep asking to stay. The boy tries to persuade to stay. The children want to stay with Alice longer. The children tell them that their fathers don't care. The children explain why it is better for them to be together. The prince agrees to stay. The boy asks to touch Alice's cheeks. The girl objects. The boy reminds them that they have already broken the rules. Prince explains why you can't touch a child with dirty hands. The boy asks if the prince wants Alice to get sick. The prince relents. The girl asks everyone to come over. The girl asks to be careful. The prince explains who they are. The boy offers to wash his hands. Alice seems nice and the boy wants a sister. The children admire Alice's smile. The children touch Alice, who smiles. Alice laughs at the touch. The children are surprised. The boy gets sick of Alice's cuteness. The girl is jealous. Alice is delighted at the touching. The girl touches Alice with dirty hands. The girl admires Alice's hands. The children admire Alice's hands. The prince says it is time to leave. The children ask to stay, but the prince is adamant. The girl admires Alice. The prince remembers the children following him. The prince doubts the children's sincerity. The girl demands honesty. The boy rejoices that the prince is coming with them. The girl threatens to tell about their deed. The boy asks the prince to take his hand. The prince refuses. Alice smiles sweetly. The prince does not want to touch Alice. The prince recognizes that Alice's hands are soft. The children are happy to see Alice. Alice is starting to get hungry. Alice is afraid to cry. Alice decides to pretend to be asleep. The maid looks into the room. The maid is surprised. The maid is shocked by what she sees. The prince is about to explain everything. Alice starts to cry. The children panic. Alice cries harder and harder. The maid says that Alice is hungry. Alice needs to be fed. The children leave. The boy does not want to leave. Alice is being comforted. What to do with the guests? The girl apologizes for the breach of etiquette. The parents apologize for the children's behavior. Alice's father listens to the apology. Alice's father reflects on what has happened. Alice's father realizes that youth is no excuse. Alice's father takes responsibility. Alice's father accepts the claims. The children meant no harm. The children were just playing. Draven's official position. The children thank him for his understanding. The evening event is approaching. The children marvel at the stars. Everyone is happy that the children are having fun. The final performance begins. The heavenly way begins. The boy is amazed at the spectacle. The children look up to the heavens. The boy sees a dragon. The golden dragon is the symbol of Draven. The dragon breathes fire. Alice's father is surprised. The father's look is different. The father seems to love Alice. The maid is pleasured by the dragon in the sky. There is a portrait of Alice in the sky. Father's love for Alice is more than it seems. Alice is surprised to be treated in this way. Alice seems to be happy too. Alice is happy, but it is dangerous to run. Father asks to give Alice to him. Alice is moving. Magic can't convey reality. Alice feels strange. Someone reaches out to Alice. A father and a daughter. From this day forward, the father wants to be a good father. The father loves his daughter. The father wanted to call her a snake and kill her. Alice is trying to escape her fate. Alice, thank you. Alice is trying to keep her distance. Alice is uncomfortable, finding a way to survive with her father. Gratitude for letting the children play with Alice. Not being allowed to call Alice without permission. Everyone marvels at the softness of the newborn's cheeks. One of the boys eagerly wants to bite them. Pride and emotion overwhelm the hearts of the women, but one is embarrassed by such expressions of affection in the presence of such young listeners. The boy with the white hair seems surprised and a little puzzled by what is happening. The little girl is sleeping peacefully and is carried gently to her room. She mumbles something in her sleep. The The baby looks at one of the boys and his thoughts are tangled in a jumble of feelings and questions. The hero reflects on the fact that he used to ignore people who were of no interest to him, reserved and unemotional. He comes to think that his abilities may have to do with foreseeing the future while the little girl sleeps. The servants hastily prepare to leave the castle. The carriage is ready to depart, and a servant announces its readiness. A red-haired man accepts congratulations on the birth of his daughter, Duke Draven. He looks sadly at the departing carriage, unwilling to part with his daughter. The boy is hysterical, he doesn't want to leave, he wants to stay with Alice. The red-haired man looks angry. He does not like the boy's stubbornness. The father calms his son, promising that they will come back to visit the little girl. The boys seal the promise with their little fingers. The boy waves to the departing carriage, asking Alice not to be sick and to stay healthy. The red-haired man sternly asks who let the boy think he could come back whenever he wanted. He orders that no more visits be accepted from Duke Claire's house. The maid carries the baby girl in her arms among the many gifts. The babe reaches for her portrait. The maid thinks the portrait does not capture the beauty of the little girl, but she thinks it is a good gift anyway. The little girl looks at the portrait with curiosity and wonder. After examining the portrait again, the little girl concludes that it is not so bad. Time flies, the seasons change, and the little girl's body grows. The baby is spoon-fed like a small child. Going through different stages of development, the baby girl pleases those around her. She learns to sit up, stand up and take her first steps by holding on to furniture. Under the supervision of adults, she takes her first independent steps. The maids are delighted with her successes and little fists. The soft carpet prevents the little girl from taking confident steps, but she does not give up. Everyone admires the little girl's success, predicting that she will soon speak. The joyful little girl is waving her arms. It looks like she is about to say her first word. Character information shown is Alice G. Drawn. She is 6 years and 9 months old, and at 9 years old she will tragically die at the hands of her father. The little girl is accelerating her development, and no one suspects that she is acting intentionally. Perhaps this is because she comes from the Defying family, where early development is not considered unusual. The family crest features a black dragon on a red background. Either way, things are going well for her and she hopes to be talking by her first birthday. She plays with toys, putting rings on a pyramid. She wonders what talent she will inherit from her dragon ancestors. Her parents appear in flashbacks, her father as a warrior with a sword and her mother as a mage with a book. But given the circumstances of her appearance in this body, counting on genius intelligence is probably not a good idea. The maid watches the little girl, pondering her thoughts, and how far she has come since she thought only of survival. The maidservant marvels at the little girl's arrival. Because my father comes to see me every day, the little girl thinks as she looks at her father walking in. The father asks if Alice is all right while he was away, and the maid assures him that all is well. The maid informs her father that Alice has taken her first 10 steps on her own. The red-haired man is happily surprised. That's our Alice. That should be written down. The father proudly enfolds his daughter in his arms, deciding that Alice deserves to be rewarded for such an outstanding achievement. The father holds Alice in his arms and promises her an award for her first steps. Alice is presented with the award. It turns out to be a brooch in the shape of a flower. Dad calls it a gift, even though it's always brooches in the shape of flowers. Alice is delighted with the new brooch, her eye unmistakably determining that it is a ruby treated with a breath of scarlet flame. The maid admires her attentiveness. The brooch is made in the shape of a flower cup with high detailing, creating a realistic three-dimensional effect. The maid regrets that the sharp edges of the brooch will prevent Alice from wearing it until she is 8 years old. The father, holding Alice in his arms, and the maids are pleased with the choice of gift. The maid shows Alice a portrait of the new brooch. Alice and the father. She looks at her father with delight. Alice looks forward to playing games with her father. What are we going to play with, Daddy? The red-haired man asks, and Alice makes happy noises. Alice struggles to pronounce the word daddy, and she almost succeeds. Daddy! Alice exclaims happily, surrounded by golden flowers. Father praises Alice, delighted with her success. Father promises Alice another gift for calling him Daddy. Alice is given a brooch made from the feathers of a red flying animal. The maid says it is time for Alice to go to bed, and is about to carry her to bed. Alice happily falls asleep in her crib. Her father and the maids look at her, hoping that this happiness will last a long time. Alice falls asleep. Alice wakes up to the sound of the wind and notices that the window is open. Maybe a little, do it, Alice thinks, feeling some kind of presence. Alice falls asleep again, deciding it's time to rest. Alice wakes up in her crib in the night and cautiously looks around, asking herself if she is alone. Alice hears some sound and can't figure out what it is. She looks at the closed window, wondering where the sound could have come from. Alice reaches out to the window, trying to figure out what is going on. Alice, still not fully awake, tries to figure out what is going on around her. Alice feels like something has touched her hand. Terrified, Alice wonders if it is a ghost. Alice screams in fright and the maid wakes up, worried about her. The maid is surprised that Alice often seeks her father's embrace. The maid senses that Alice no longer wants to be in her arms, and decides that the father had better ward off the ghost. Father offers to change Alice into a walking outfit. Father is going to show Alice the fall leaves. Father tosses Alice into the air, and she screams with delight. Suddenly, Alice becomes frightened and begins to cry. Father and the maids are concerned that Alice is frightened by the height. Alice hears the voices of ghosts, even when she is near her father. Father decides to show Alice magic. This is the first time Alice sees magic so close and marvels at what she sees. Father shows Alice a fireball and everyone around her marvels at the spectacle. The maid worries that magic could be dangerous for Alice. Alice is delighted by the fire, which does not burn, and asks to be given it to her. Her father warns Alice that fire is dangerous and must not be touched. Alice, clinging to her father, reaches for the fire and utters, "Daddy." The father calms Alice by telling her that this fire he created is not dangerous. The maids rush over in a panic, worried for Alice. Alice is terrified, realizing that something untoward is happening. Alice is surprised to notice green spheres coming from the fire. The maid screams for a ghost, and Alice calls out to her father. Dad struggles to keep control of his magic, sensing the presence of the spirits. Alice cries out in fear, seeing spirits all around her. Her father calms Alice down, trying to understand what frightened her so much. Alice tries to say ghost but fails. Alice tries to say the word ghost again, pointing her finger. Father suggests that Alice was frightened by a spirit. Alice mumbles something inaudible as she lies in her crib surrounded by green spirits. Father is surprised that Alice was able to attract the spirit. Alice realizes that what she mistook for a ghost is actually a spirit. Alice learns that the spirit haunting her is a wind spirit. Usually spirits stay in the spirit world and rarely appear in the human world. There are two instances when spirits come to the human world: when they are forcibly bound or when they are summoned because of a special proximity. Father ponders why the spirits are circling Alice, and suggests that the magical flames may also be spirit-related. Father thinks it's the combination of fire and wind, since he's an expert on magic. Father reminds her that spirits are usually afraid of dragon energy, so it's unusual for someone from his family to have an affinity with them. Alice is glad it's not a ghost, but she's still a little scared. Alice lies in her crib surrounded by spirits, but feels a little calmer. Alice surprised everyone by summoning a spirit, and Father ponders what to do next. Father thinks that Alice is too scared of the spirits. Father assures Alice that he is there for her and she shouldn't worry. Alice calms down and begins to fall asleep. The wizard reports that Alice has an affinity for the wind spirits. The wizard confirms Alice's high affinity for the wind spirits. The wizard says that further tests are needed, but Alice may surpass him in the future. The wizard believes that Alice is still too young for that. The wizard thinks it is a burden for an infant to have such power. Spirits are rarely interested in young children. The father asks what to do next, and the wizard replies that if Alice continues to fear the spirits, it could harm her development. The father admits that this is the first time he has seen Alice so frightened. The wizard suggests using the method he mentioned earlier, and the father hopes that it won't harm Alice. The wizard assures her father that it's just a seal that won't hurt. Alice doesn't understand what seal they are talking about, and the wizard explains that it will take a long time to remove it. But for Alice, who isn't even a year old, it's the right time. Alice is concerned that they are going to seal the spirits, and feels guilty for her fear. Alice anxiously ponders that if they seal the spirits, she won't be able to communicate with them. Alice really wants to object to this decision. The wizard prepares to perform the sealing ritual. The wizard explains that it is not Alice herself that they are sealing. The wizard explains that they are temporarily sealing only Alice's proximity, which they are attracted to. Alice objects, but they don't listen to her. The wizard advises the spirits to apologize to Alice, instead of complaining about the injustice. The spirits sadly leave Alice's room. Alice is surprised that spirits can have a conscience. The wizard announces that the sealing ritual will take place tomorrow. The spirits are going to apologize to Alice. The father asks what can be said to a child less than a year old. The wizard explains that the spirits following Alice are more persistent than he expected, so the ritual must be done quickly. The father trusts the wizard and his experience in hunting magical beasts. The wizard prepares for the sealing ritual. Alice doubts the wizard's intentions. She feels he is hiding something. Her father asks Alice if she is still afraid of spirits. Alice replies that she is no longer afraid, and says that the wizard will help her get rid of the spirits. Father is a little concerned about the sealing process, but trusts the wizard. Alice agrees with her father, and says that everything will be fine. Alice realizes it is not a demon and is no longer afraid, but does not want the spirits sealed. Father looks sadly at Alice, saying that sometimes it seems as if she understands what he is saying. Father daydreams about how wonderful it would be if Alice could talk. Alice mentally replies that she understands her father, and could even speak, but she can't let anyone know about it. The maid promises to spend that night at Alice's crib. The maid promises Alice that she has nothing to worry about, and just needs to sleep peacefully. Alice suspects that the maid left the window open and senses the presence of a spirit. The wind spirit circles around Alice's crib. Cards fly around the room. It looks eerie. Words of apology appear on the cards. Alice wonders if the spirits have come to apologize. Alice realizes that children her age can't read. Alice wonders if the spirits know that she can speak. Alice is alarmed that the spirits could see her talking to herself. The wind spirit writes on the cards that it's a secret, and he won't tell anyone. Alice realizes that the spirit doesn't want to be sealed, and that the spirits are not bad people. Alice forgives the spirits. Alice asks the spirit to cancel the sealing. Alice asks the spirit to think about it. Alice smiles at the spirit, which circles around her like a pet. Alice falls asleep saying goodbye to the spirit. The servants eavesdrop outside the door, ready to act. Father says he has already discussed everything and there is nothing to worry about. Father is confident that everything will be fine. The maid asks the wizard if he has said hello to the princess. The wizard replies that he hasn't yet. The wizard says that everything will be ready soon. The father asks if the room needs to be cleaned for the ceremony. The wizard is surprised that father is meddling in his affairs. Alice is perplexed as to why everyone is talking about her. Father asks if Alice slept well. Alice is happy to see Dad. Father says he will give Alice a present for meeting him so nicely. Father asks the maid if it is safe to perform the sealing ritual. The maid cries, saying it's because of the spirits. The wizard says it is safe to begin the ritual. The wizard and the maid prepare Alice for the sealing ritual. The spirits circle around Alice. The wizard says everything is ready. The wizard assures her that the sealing ritual is the best way to prevent the spirits from approaching. Alice, surrounded by spirits, realizes that if she had spoken up earlier, her father wouldn't have had to worry so much. Alice knows that she can't reveal her secret or everyone will realize that she is not her real daughter. Alice realizes that she and her father are thinking the same thing right now. The father calls out to the wizard. The wizard is surprised to be called uncle. Father asks the wizard to forget about it. The father offers to pay the wizard twice the agreed amount. Father offers to pay the wizard twice as much. Father is pleased to hear the words of praise. Alice hugs her father. The wizard wonders what happened. He looks down at the child, suspicious of her sudden rejection, and his gaze is full of questions. The little boy, abandoned surrounded by toys, protests vehemently. In the midst of the chaos from the toys, a justification is heard. The child's dislike does not justify denial of treatment. A wise elder, clad in a green cloak, discreetly explains the reason for the lady's refusal. The elder extends his hand, hoping to get the child, while the maid expresses her bewilderment. The wise man questions whether the man intends to neglect the young lady, leaving her with unthinking spirits. A flash of magic surrounds the child like a seal, causing concern. The little girl warns against the ritual, fear silencing her. Huddled in the man's arms, the girl looks sad. Even the spirits do not want this seal. A flash of light. A spirit figure appears, but the little girl looks on with wonder and curiosity. The little girl is sure she is fine and not scared. A smile shines on her face. The spirit convinces the girl not to do the sealing ritual, promising her his support. The spirit leaves and the light fades, leaving the child to ponder. The spirits promise not to bother her, urging her not to seal herself because of them. A beep sounds, heralding the start of the choice time event. The girl excitedly realizes that it is happening again, just like the time she was named. A man, proud and stern, receives notification of his character's rank evolution. The system announces the discovery of potential abilities, which triggers the girl's memories. The player's actions determine his choices, the system declares. The girl's face lights up with joy. She realizes what she needs to say. A happy smile blossoms on the girl's face. She finds her friend. The girl reassures the spirit, saying that she has forgiven him, and now she will not be afraid of his voice. The man looks at the spirit with disdain, turning to the girl with tenderness. The spirit, glowing with happiness, greets his new friend. The girl winks, thanking the spirit for his support. The girl comes to her senses, and her father cuts the old man off, refusing to continue the ritual. The old man is confused by the sudden change in the behavior of father and daughter. The old man, enraged, shuts his hand away, ordering them to get out of the way. The little girl, confident in her father's protection, defies him. The man stands behind the girl, and she whispers his name in amazement. The old man, dressed in green with his hand held high, demands not to be disturbed. The girl, rubbing her eyes, asks if she is all right and smiles happily. The man hesitates, not knowing whether to thank or scold for this. The man gently hugs the girl, asking if she was scared. The man orders the maid to restore the room, and she readily agrees. The man cautions the old man, noting that he has gone too far this time. The girl is puzzled, trying to figure out what is going on. The old man offers a cup of tea with a smile, assuming the matter is settled. The man walks away, pondering how he could have been tricked. The question hangs in the air. What is the meaning of all this? The old man admires the rare tea he is offered, appreciating the generosity of his hosts. The girl drinks the tea, and pleasure appears on her face. The man with a thoughtful look decides to explain the ritual once more. The girl wipes her mouth, and the old man notes how much she has changed. A man is embarrassed as he recalls his words about not wanting to have children. A vessel filled with radiant energy is shown, ready for the ritual. A girl listens to an old man's explanation of why spirits rarely approach young children. A woman is shown creating a magical contract with a spirit. The girl stares intently at the book, learning that communicating with spirits requires great willpower. The little girl and the spirit are connected by a flow of energy, and she declares that she understands everything. The old man is surprised that spirits don't usually appear to children until they are 7 years old. The woman explains that it is not the age itself that is important, but the control gained after the age of 7. A spirit in need of control by a child is shown, and its potential is noted. The girl listens as the old man speaks of his suspicions caused by her father's letter. The old man reflects on the girl's talent after receiving a letter from her father. The girl flinches at the sudden appearance of spirits, which causes the old man to question her. The girl stands on her feet, ready to explore the world, which also surprises the old man. The man is surprised that the old man read his letter, which is full of braggadocio. The old man notes that the girl is just smart, nothing more. The man covers his mouth with his hand in embarrassment, as he listens to his daughter's criticism. A dragon appears on the coat of arms of Draben, indicating the unique traits of the family. The old man decides to see for himself. After a personal meeting, the old man confirms his suspicions. The girl was frightened by the sudden appearance of spirits, but even they did not expect such a reaction. The man urges the old man to speak directly, not to beat around the bush. The old man states that the girl does not stand out as an outstanding person, given her background. The old man admits that he instigated the sealing ritual to bring out the girl's hidden potential. The man wonders what would have happened if the daughter had not refused the sealing ritual. The old man, smiling, admits that he would have performed the ritual anyway. The old man notes that the man has not changed over the years. The old man believes there would have been no harm from the sealing, as it would have dissolved on its own after 5 years. The girl continues to drink her tea, unaware of the adult's conversation. The old man asks about the brooch the man gave the girl. The brooch in the form of Alice's flower becomes the subject of discussion. The old man admires the detail of Alice's flower on the brooch, noting its beauty. The girl looks concerned as the old man notes that the brooch appears to be the work of a non-human craftsman. The man agrees, recognizing the old man's keen eye. The old man suggests that the brooch was made by some special craftsman, arousing the girl's suspicions. The old man says goodbye, about to leave the estate in a carriage. The old man warns the girl that it is possible to be friends with spirits, but that it is better to make contracts at a more mature age. The man reflects on the old man's words, worrying about his daughter's health. The girl is glad that the problem is solved, but wonders if those around her will notice her sudden talkativeness. The man admires his daughter, believing her to be extraordinary. The girl thinks that she was worried for nothing. She is sure that she is the most outstanding person in the world. The girl is happy that she can now speak freely, and she is full of positive thoughts about her spirit friends. The maid, as she tucks the girl into her crib, suggests that she may have powers of foresight. The maid tells of a dream in which the girl was talking sweetly to someone. The girl says sweet words in the dream, saying goodbye and promising to think about it. The maid is surprised that the girl spoke the same way she did in the dream. The girl feels sleepy and asks the maid to turn off the light. The maid wishes the girl a good night, promising to be more careful in the future. The castle looks majestic, and at the bottom it says that the girl's first birthday is only 2 months away. A man with a puzzled look is making plans for a grand celebration of his daughter's birthday. All the servants are excitedly discussing preparations for the party while lightning flashes. The girl looks out the window, happy that everyone is busy preparing for her birthday. The maid asks the girl to look at a word card. The girl studies the word combustible with interest, with a flame drawn on the card. The old man, watching, approves of the girl's progress in learning the letters. The maid announces that the man has arrived, and the girl rejoices at his arrival. The man asks the maid to go with him for a moment, and the girl promises to return soon. The girl waves happily, greeting her spirit friend. The girl asks the spirit if he is here to make a deal with her. The girl asks the spirit for his name. The spirits swirl around the girl, ready to fulfill her every request. The girl, glowing with happiness, realizes that the spirits are already listening to her requests, even without a formal contract. The little girl plans to try again today. The little girl looks very cute in her outfit. The girl wonders if she got all the appearance bonuses. The spirit senses someone approaching. The maid shows the girl the gift she was sent for her birthday. Preparations for the banquet are in full swing, and the room is filled with gifts. The man sits next to his daughter, noting that this is the first time he has received so many congratulations, thanks to her. The maid reads a note from the Marquis of Radras, wishing health and peace to the Dravana family. A music box decorated with a heart-shaped ruby is shown. The girl, enchanted, holds the music box in her hands, imagining falling asleep to it. A servant girl announces a gift from the workshop. The man curiously accepts the box with a gift from the workshop. Inside is a handmade teddy bear. The girl looks at the teddy bear with interest, around whose neck hangs a necklace. Hidden inside the necklace is Alice's flower made of amethyst. The man and the maid admire Alice's exquisite flower. The maid excitedly announces the next gift. The girl looks suspiciously at the flower pot. The pot contains the seeds of Alice's flowers, which grow in the north. The man, the maid, and the girl look at the flower pot with curiosity. The girl remembers the boy who came to her birthday party, and wonders why his name is being withheld. Scraps of the boy's memories of his life with Alice come to mind. The girl suspects that the boy may be in love with her, and that is why the man forbids him to come. The girl confusedly asks if the man is really jealous. The man decides to try another method so as not to arouse suspicion. The girl affectionately calls the man daddy, and the man fondly asks what's wrong. The girl tells the man that she loves him. The man replies that he loves his precious daughter too. The man notices the word cards and asks if the girl said love to him. The man asks the maid how she thought she did, and she replies admiringly. The maid congratulates the man, while standing next to a mountain of gifts. The man gently hugs the girl, telling her that he loves her too. The man cradles his daughter in his arms, touched by her confession. The man promises to give the girl a special gift. The girl eagerly awaits the gift from her daddy. The man, smiling, promises to prepare the gift quickly. The girl is excited that daddy is even better than the gift. The man hugs the girl, apologizing to her. Man admits that he has shown his embarrassing side. The man promises to always remember who sends gifts, and apologizes to the daughter. Spirits dance around the man and the girl, anticipating new gifts. The girl calls out to her father, asking if there are more gifts from Hyman. The maid brings new gifts for the young lady. The girl learns that Hyman has sent these gifts as well, and there are many more. The girl wants to read the letter enclosed with the gifts. The maid and the man read the letters in which Hyman expresses his love and desire to see Alice. The maid tells of a third letter from Hyman. Hyman, upset by the man's rejection, writes about how much he misses Alice. The note says that Hyman misses her and does not understand why he is not allowed to come. The man, realizing his mistake, stands by his daughter. The girl promises that it won't happen again and trusts the man. The girl is glad that the man has thought about his behavior and is ready to forgive him. The man admires his beautiful daughter, looking at her with love. A man confesses his love for his daughter. A letter arrives from the Duke of Clare. The maid reads a letter from Hyman informing him of permission to come. Hyman writes that he wants to play with Alice, but cannot come at once. Hyman, frowning, listens to the message that Jennifer is also coming. Hyman hopes that Alice remembers him and Jennifer. The maid reads that Hyman was a little upset, but he's fine now. Hyman plans to arrive early for Alice's birthday. The maid says they'll be able to play together more. Hyman, frowning, looks at the letter. The maid and the girl are startled by the expression on the man's face, but hope he won't torment Hyman. The girl waits for her birthday. The maid and the man choose a brooch and a dress for the girl. The man and the maid argue about which brooch to choose. The man and the maid continue to argue about the brooch and the dress. The spirit hurries the girl, saying that the guests will arrive soon. The maid asks the girl if she is bored sitting in her room all the time. The maid offers the girl to look at the preparations for the feast. The girl is happy to see the preparations. The maid says that more guests than expected are coming to the girl's birthday party. The maid is surprised that so many people are coming to the birthday party. Lots of people are gathering for the girl's birthday party. Information about the girl's character is shown, including her tragic fate. The girl checks to see if her fate has changed, but there is no change. How to increase the rank of the character is explained. An example is given of Cinderella and her invitation to the ball. Cinderella's characters and their roles are shown. The fairy godmother sends Cinderella to the ball. Cinderella and the prince dance at the ball. Main characters are more important than statistics. The girl can estimate her rank by looking at the maid. The girl's destiny is to be a minor character. The girl realizes why she doesn't remember being a duchess. The main story begins after the duchess dies. The main story begins when Inidio turns 14 years old. The girl gets along well with her father, but her fate remains unchanged. The girl is destined to die, killed by her father in his madness. The girl realizes that she needs to increase her rank to change her destiny. The girl believes that increasing her rank will improve her abilities and clarify her destiny. The girl is confident that she will find a solution. The girl needs to grow up quickly to change her destiny. The maid brings the girl up, telling her that it is too early for her to climb the stairs on her own. She looks at the little girl in her arms, dreaming of a promotion, a future. When will she be able to grow up? She is informed of the preparations for the young ladies and lord's visit tomorrow. Duties pile up, and she is still with a baby in her arms. She is asked if she is excited for tomorrow. A box of gifts is seen in the corner. Anticipation is in the air. She asks another maid for help, feeling overworked. She asks permission to step away for a moment to help. She is given permission with a smile. She is promised that they will be there for her if she needs help. The girl only nods in response. The two maids hang the curtains together, feeling relieved to be working together. The little girl watches the hustle and bustle around her, sensing that everyone is busy and a little lost in thought. A man enters, looking for Agnes, expressing his displeasure at her absence. He finds the girl playing alone. His face softens as he takes her in his arms. The girl calls him Papa in vain, as if he doesn't hear. She decides to be more careful in her displays of affection. Agnes enters, thanking him for his help. She is thanked in return, emphasizing the importance of taking care of the young lady. Agnes is surprised by the gentleman's appearance. Tension is in the air. The master notes that Agnes helps the maids a lot, and she promises to improve. He recognizes that a personal maid doing other people's duties is not a good thing, but he has given Agnes permission. She looks down feeling guilty. She fears that her attachment to the other maids is interfering with her work. In his mind, the main story begins when the heroine turns 14. She apologizes, promising it won't happen again. He doubts that she will be able to change her behavior easily. He ponders that it is time to give the girl a personal maid. Concern flashes in her eyes. She agrees with him, recognizing that the girl needs her own personal servant. He says that he has kept Agnes close to him until now, but he has already chosen a new maid who will start taking care of the girl on the day she is born. The girl is surprised at the speed of what is happening. She wonders if her behavior has influenced this decision. Agnes is going to start preparing for the arrival of the new maid tomorrow. She is told that this is not necessary. She is told that the girl is not like normal children her age. She needs to be more careful. She is embarrassed to hear the gentleman's stern tone and agrees with him. The girl is confused, feeling suddenly rejected. She blames herself for what is happening. He remembers the past, the fact that her grandfather was knighted by the previous Duke of Draven. He reflects on the fact that her father never hired knights of non-nobility. He says that in honor of Carlos Imenson's loyalty, he is granting the Imenson family the title of Baron. She is shocked by the news, not knowing what to think. She is surprised. She is told that a noblewoman cannot serve as a maid, so he appoints her an official maid. She thanks him, but he emphasizes that it is a necessary decision for his daughter's sake. She is told that if any shortcomings are seen, she will be held strictly accountable. The girl is slightly frightened. She understands and agrees with the master, feeling responsible for her new position. The master leaves, reminding her not to forget her duties. She promises to work even harder to never embarrass the young lady. The girl embraces her, trusting her. She swears her loyalty. The outside of the building is examined. It is mentioned that one should not run, it is rude. Another girl walks down the hallway. They recall being scolded by the Duke. Hyman cheerfully greets Alice, running up to her. Agnes asks him to speak softly so as not to scare the young lady. Jennifer is pleased to see Lady Dravine. Hyman is offended to be seen as rude. He insists that he wanted to say hello to Alice first. Hyman is calmed down and asked to speak more softly. It seems to the father that the children are not happy about the visit. The girl is greeted and apologizes for the early visit. Alice is delighted with the new acquaintances. The ladies compliment Alice. The children are told not to be rude. The father does not like that he is not leaving. Alice is pleased to have guests. Alice is asked if she remembers Hyman, since they have met before. Jennifer corrects Hyman, reminding him not to be so blunt. Alice asks the children to undress and wash their hands before playing. Hyman is embarrassed and crumples from foot to foot, trying to be polite. One of the children's shoes. Jennifer introduces herself to Alice, giving her name and title. Hyman also introduces himself to Alice, smiling embarrassedly. Alice is pleased to meet her and calls the children cute. The children begin to share rumors about Alice. They say that Alice has been visited by a spirit. Jennifer is amazed at how well she speaks for her age. Hyman admires Alice and her abilities. Alice is asked if she understands what the children are talking about. Alice is pleased that they have summoned a spirit. Alice is seen as not understanding what is happening. Agnes is pleased to have visitors, and says she expected something like this. Jennifer thinks Alice is an unusual girl. Jennifer yells back at Hyman for making jokes. Hyman thinks he is being spoken to like a baby. Alice greets the children, smiling sweetly. Alice is asked if she said hello. Alice confirms that she said hello. Jennifer and Hyman are delighted. Agnes is amused by Alice's reaction, even though she sees her every day. The children ask Alice if she understands what they are saying. The children ask Alice if she remembers them. Agnes thinks that Alice is unlikely to remember them. Agnes brings the presents. Agnes shows what presents the children have brought. Hyman and Jennifer are surprised that Alice knows which present is from whom. Alice really likes the presents. A spirit appears in the room. Jennifer says she sees the spirit for the first time and its color is brighter than she thought. Hyman doesn't see the spirit. Jennifer explains why she can see the spirit. Jennifer's ancestors and their connection to the wind are told. Alice and Jennifer see the spirit. Hyman asks if Alice can see the spirit. Alice thinks the spirit is like a pet. Alice decides to call Sylphie to play with them. Hyman is surprised by the sudden wind. Hyman wonders if he touched the spirit. Hyman wonders if he touched the spirit or not. Hyman is shocked, for he thinks he has killed the spirit. Agnes calls the children to have a snack with Alice. The children really like the snack suggestion. Alice can't sleep because tomorrow is her birthday. Agnes is surprised that Alice is awake. Agnes asks Alice to go to sleep. The children look at Alice sleeping. The children wish Alice a good night's sleep. Agnes says goodbye to Alice. Alice could not sleep because she was expecting guests. Agnes wishes Alice a good morning. Agnes wishes Alice a happy birthday. Agnes and the other maids are checking the weather. Agnes wonders if Alice slept well. Agnes says that today is Alice's birthday, so it is necessary to bathe and have breakfast. Agnes rejoices. Agnes admires Alice's face. Agnes corrects Alice's crown. Alice feels that everyone around her is fussing. Alice is used to helping others, and now all the attention is on her. Alice thinks Agnes is a great maid. Rexios looks at Alice. Rexios says that Alice is more beautiful today than ever. Rexios wishes Alice a happy birthday. Rexios says he will give Alice a gift at the ceremony. Rexios is sad that he can't give the gift now. Alice thinks she will get another portrait as a gift. Alice asks her dad to give the gift later. Rexios likes the idea of giving the gift later. Rexios promises to give the gift to Alice later. Alice decides that she will get the gift later. Alice is glad that she will save the portrait. Alice says goodbye to her dad. Agnes tells Alice that everything is ready, and she can rest until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Alice doesn't know what to do until 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it would be nice for her to play with her friends. Alice wants to play with Sylphie. Alice remembers about Sylphie. Sylphie asks what Alice should do. Alice agrees to play outside with Sylphie. Sylphie promises to come back. Alice is surprised by Sylphie's speed. Agnes asks Alice if she wants to rest. Sylphie shows Alice some fruit. Sylphie shows Alice a lot of people. Alice doesn't understand what Sylphie is showing. Sylphie shows lots of horses and carriages. Sylphie shows strange symbols. Alice is surprised at the divine blessing. Alice is surprised that they are not talking about a priest. Information about a man born with a divine blessing is told. Information about the main character who is able to defeat the Demon King. A story about a birthday party being organized. Something changes. Alice is asked if this is a good sign or a bad sign. Alice is asked to greet the guests. Alice learns that Hyman and Jennifer will not be able to come to visit her today. Alice thanks Sylphie. Agnes wonders if Alice liked the food. Agnes is asked to take Alice to the waiting room. Rexios asks if Alice is ready. Alice seems like she will be with her daddy again. Rexios says there are a lot of people at Alice's birthday party. Rexios tells Alice not to worry. Rexios promises to always be there for Alice. Alice confesses her love to her dad. Rexios introduces Alice to the guests. Rexios thanks everyone for coming to celebrate Alice's birthday. Rexios says that Alice's birthday party is prepared with great care. Alice is excited about the presents. Rexios wants to show off his daughter. Rexios asks everyone to look at Alice. Alice is the heiress of dragon blood. Rexios loves his daughter. Rexios wants to show everyone how beautiful Alice is. Rexios wishes Alice a happy first birthday. Alice loves her daddy. Alice asks when presents will be given. Alice is surprised that the Prince of Ilios will give the gift first. Alice is surprised that the royal family gives the gift at the beginning. Someone notices how graceful it is for a 5-year-old. Prince Iliosa looks around. Rexios uses formal speech at the sight of the prince. The prince looks at Alice. Alice wonders what impression she is making on the prince. The prince blesses Alice. Alice is surprised by the prince's words. Rexios thanks the prince for his wishes. Alice thinks she needs to talk to the prince. They congratulate Princess Draven on her birthday. They wish Alice to grow up healthy. Rexios thanks for the congratulations. They wish God's favor to Alice. Alice is tired of sitting in her daddy's arms. Alice is thinking about what present daddy has prepared for her. They remember that daddy's gift will be related to Alice. Alice is looking at the flower. Alice thinks she will hear it from daddy soon. Giving gifts from Sir Muriel C. Albert. Showing who gave the devil's egg at the birthday banquet. It is hoped that God's blessings will be with the princess. They talk about protecting souls. Alice wonders what is being said. Rexio's thanks for the gifts. They ask to take out the gifts. Alice is surprised by a vase of flowers. Alice realizes they are Alice's flowers. Little Alice, sitting in her father's arms, looks curiously at the sparkling silver flower. Her gaze is full of childlike wonder. Inside the huge flower can be seen Alice's face glowing with joy and innocence. Her father, with tenderness in his eyes, holds Alice close to him. He recalls the moment when he confessed his love to her. A man's hand winds the mechanism of a music box in the shape of a flower. Against the backdrop of the luxurious hall, the flowers playing a melody give an atmosphere of festivity and magic. Alice shines in the center. Father, looking lovingly at Alice, remembers how much effort and money it cost to realize this idea. Father tenderly calls Alice, his eyes full of love and adoration. Alice, bursting with laughter, reciprocates her father, her heart overflowing with love. The ceremonial hall is filled with congratulations in honor of the birthday of the little princess. Alice impatiently asks her father to let her go on the floor so that she can run and play. The guests watch in amazement as Alice takes her first steps, noting the noble blood in her. Alice, surrounded by flowers, smiles happily at the guests, welcoming them to her party. The crowd of guests gathered at the birthday party have their own goals, whether it be to socialize with her father, or just to see the princess. Alice, bestowing her beaming smile on everyone, feels grateful that everyone has gathered at her birthday party. Alice, with a sense of appreciation, bows to her guests, thanking them for sharing her party. The guests, enjoying the fine wine, marvel at the generosity of House Drabane. Little Alice is surrounded by a crowd of children, admiring her charm and angelic beauty. Another guest wishes Alice a happy birthday, noting how dazzling she is today. Alice, with a wide smile, sincerely thanks for the congratulations, her heart overflowing with joy. The children, interrupting each other, want to be the first to congratulate Alice, trying to get her attention. Small hands reaching out to Alice touchingly testify to her popularity among the children. The maid invites the children to the dining room, where a festive meal full of goodies awaits them. Accompanied by the maid, the children are joyfully excited as they make their way to the dining room, anticipating the treats. Alice, hearing about the cake and cream, expresses her delight and impatience with wide-open eyes. The maid, hearing a knock on the door, exclaims joyfully, realizing that everything is ready for the guests. The maid politely invites them to enter the dining room, opening the doors for the next guests. A boy, with surprise and a question in his eyes, looks at Alice, not understanding why she is called Your Highness. The unfamiliar boy, with a serious expression on his face, asks permission to enter the dining room. Outline: the dining room, the maid and the strange boy entering the dining room. Alice, with a sly smile, watches the boy, anticipating the opportunity to tease him. The boy, with an arrogant look, asks to wait outside, emphasizing his superiority. The maid welcomes the prince into the royal family, emphasizing his importance and status. The maid offers the boy something to eat, showing care and hospitality. The boy is persistently offered a taste of the treat, despite his refusal. Another boy, with a smile, brings the treat to the prince's mouth, wanting to give him a treat. Alice, watching the scene, feels awkward and anxious, worried about the outcome of the situation. Alice, folding her hands in prayer, asks that the boy not be punished for possibly insulting the royal family. The boy, with curiosity, asks the prince if the treat is tasty, awaiting his evaluation. The prince, with a stern expression on his face, reprimands the boy for his impolite behavior. The boy, with a guilty look, admits his mistake and agrees with the remark. The boy, with concern, asks the prince to sit down, fearing that he might fall. The boy offers the prince a taste of the food, trying to make amends and show friendliness. The prince, tasting the treat, recognizes it as delicious, softening his attitude toward the boy. The boy, embarrassed, explains that he was just fulfilling Alice's request, trying to justify himself. Outline: the dining room and the people at dinner. The prince, frowning unhappily, finds it unseemly to refuse food offered with love. A boy worriedly says the prince eats too little, referring to his father's remark. Fondly, someone pokes the food with a fork and speaks of Duke Clay. The boy hopefully asks the prince if it tastes good, expecting a positive answer. Outline: the dining room and the people at lunch. The prince is embarrassed by the phrase. Alice watches the boy in amazement. The boy is surprised by the conversation between the prince and Alice. Alice observes what is happening. Alice is confused. The dining room and the people at lunch. The boy is jealous of Alice. General plan. The dining room and people at lunch. Alice and the boys are sitting at the table. The boy is enthusiastic. The girl is a little surprised. The prince asks the boy suspiciously. Outline. Dining room and people at lunch. Alice and the boys are sitting at the table. The boy is dissatisfied with the prince's behavior. Outline dining room. A table with desserts. General plan. Dining room and people at lunch. The boy is interested in the event. The prince is bored. Alice and the girl are talking. Alice is at the table. The girl is anxiously saying something. The prince is at the table. The girl asks Alice not to worry. The girl and the boy ask Alice to come out. The boy does not understand. A conversation about Alice's talents. A conversation about Alice's talents. The prince tries to understand Alice. Alice is unusual. The prince enjoys talking to Alice. The prince suspects something. Alice is at the table with the prince. The prince is on edge. The prince's emotions. The prince's emotions. Alice and the prince at the table. Alice is up to something. Alice and the prince at the table. The prince is worried. Alice calms the prince. The prince is confused. The prince is a little nervous. Alice and the prince are at the table. The prince wants to change the subject. Talking about Alice's future. Alice's father's view. Alice's father apologizes. Alice calming down her dad. Alice reassures dad and the prince. Alice's father is serious. Alice's father asks the prince to speak. Alice and the prince make up. Alice is smiling. Alice's father is thanked. A conversation between Alice and her father. The prince's emotions. The prince ponders the words. Alice and her father pondering the prince's words. The father and Alice are serious. A conversation about Alice's fate. Alice and her father ponder the prince's words. Alice ponders. Alice ponders. Alice and her father apologize. Alice's dad apologizes. Alice's father's emotions. Father holds Alice in his arms. Father and Alice's father looks over at each other. Prince's emotions. The prince speaks the truth. Father and Alice ask the prince. The prince explains to father and Alice the reason for the visit. There is bad weather outside. Father with Alice and the girl. Father holds Alice in his arms. Alice admires the magic. Alice is worried about the magic. The two ladies look at each other. Magic performance. The magic performance, and the father and Alice. Alice admires the magic. Alice and the girl are surprised. A conversation about magic. A conversation about magic. People admiring the magic. A conversation about magic. A conversation about magic. Alice and her dad watching a magic show. Alice and dad are watching a magic show. Father and Alice saying hello. Alice's greeting. A look from Alice's father. Applause in honor of Alice. The guests are invited to the banquet. Alice says hello to the girl. The guests prepare for the banquet. Alice and father thanked for their help. Thanks to Che-pol. Father thanks the prince for his help. The magicians are a little tired. The woman asks to prepare tea. A gift for the princess. Outline. The dining room and people at lunch. Outline. The dining room and people at lunch. Alice is bored. The children are bored at the table. The father takes Alice to his house. A boy calls out to Alice. The children admire the magic. A conversation between the children. Conversation between children. Conversation between children. Talking between children. Talking between children. Talking between children. Conversation between children. A boy asks a question. A boy suggests sleeping together. The boy proposes to sleep together. The prince refuses to sleep together. The boy offers to sleep together. The prince refuses to sleep together. The father is about to leave. Dad is thanked by the woman. Dad hugs Alice. Alice is happy. Men talking. A conversation between men. The boy offers to sleep together. Alice is happy to communicate with children. Conversation between children. Conversation between children. Conversation between children. Talking between children. Talking between children. Talking between children. The children are discussing Alice. Alice is happy. General plan window. Guests saying goodbye. Father with Alice. The carriage is driving away. Father and Alice are happy. Dark night. Alice has guests at her house. Father did not invite the guests. Father's conversation. The girls' conversation. A little girl looks longingly out the window, wishing to see snow, but she is denied, fearing for her health. A caring nanny cuddles the girl, covering her, and gently explains that going outside could make her sick. The girl stares dejectedly out the window, feeling like a prisoner in her own home. In the warmth, by the small heater, the girl dreams of touching the snow. Through the glass, reaching out her hand, the girl seems to try to feel the falling snowflakes, remembering her former world. Thoughts swarm in the child's head, reminding her that once she didn't like snow at all, but now everything has changed. The nanny asks if the girl needs anything else, offering treats, but the longing for snow does not let go. The father, with concern in his eyes, enters the room, noticing his daughter Alyssa's sad mood. He suggests going out for a walk, realizing that she needs to unwind despite the cold weather. The nanny happily shows the girl warm clothes, preparing her for the long-awaited walk. Little Alyssa's face blooms with happiness, as she is excited about going outdoors. A caring father holds Alyssa dressed in a warm suit in his arms, preparing for a walk in the snow. The father's question, "Do you like the outdoors, Alyssa?" is met with an enthusiastic response. The father looks lovingly at his daughter, worrying if she's cold, but Alyssa assures him that she's fine. Against a backdrop of snow-covered trees, Alyssa calls out to her dad to share her experiences in the snow. Little Alyssa, full of excitement, asks her father to lower her to the ground, so she can get a better look at the snow. Her father warns about the slippery snow, but Alyssa insists on being let go. The father carefully watches his daughter's every move, concerned for her safety on the slippery surface. With surprise and curiosity, the father interjects his daughter upon hearing a new word. Alyssa explains that she wants to mold snowman, causing her father's bewilderment. The babysitter guesses that Alyssa means snowman, and the father interjects with surprise. The father is amazed that Alyssa, seeing snow for the first time, knows about a snowman, recalling the fairy tales read to her. Alyssa persistently repeats her desire to see the snowman, not understanding her father's confusion. Her father firmly orders Nanny to call the servants, much to her surprise. The father, determined to fulfill his daughter's wish, repeats his order once more. The nanny, surprised by this eagerness, hurries to carry out the master's errand. The father, with blazing enthusiasm, promises Alyssa that he will make many snowmen for her. With a serious look, father declares his intention to create the best snowman for Alyssa. Alyssa and her nanny wait while her father makes her wish come true, even though deep down she only wanted a small snowman. Father presents Alyssa with a huge snowman modeled after the transcendent dragon Ifef, but Alyssa is confused. The servants cheer at the warmth they feel, due to father's efforts. Alyssa thanks the servants for their help, and they respond with compliments and admiration. Alyssa's face brightens with happiness as she calls out to her father to share her joy. Her father looks thoughtfully at his daughter, noticing her craving to socialize with others. Alyssa admires the huge dragon-like snowman her father made for her. Alyssa thanks her father for the snowman, and he replies that he is the one who should be grateful to have such a daughter. Returning home after the walk, Alyssa falls ill. The father looks sadly at his sick daughter, feeling guilty for not keeping her safe. The father blames himself for not calling for a maid to control the temperature, but immediately remembers that it could have melted the snow. The father sits by the bedside of the sick Alyssa, feeling helpless, but the girl cheers him up. Alyssa makes a quick recovery. Alyssa thanks the artifact that keeps the room warm, remembering its high cost. Alyssa, a little saddened, dreams of going for a walk, but is denied, reminding her of her recent illness. Her father notices the sadness in his daughter's eyes and decides to give her a gift in honor of her recovery. Alyssa looks at the painting curiously, not realizing that it is not a display case for brooches, but her portrait. Alyssa anticipates that she will now have a new portrait every year. The slow and tedious days of first year fly by. Time seems to go faster as Alyssa gets older. Alyssa turns 2 years and 2 months old. Alyssa looks at the information window about herself, noticing that only her age has changed. Alyssa hears a large cake being prepared in the kitchen. Alyssa is expecting guests for her birthday party. Alyssa reads a letter from a friend inviting her to his birthday party. Alyssa's friends are getting ready for their birthday party. Alyssa smiles as she reads a letter from a friend. Alyssa learns that guests will be arriving soon. The nanny offers Alyssa help, but she refuses, wanting to go on her own. The nanny takes Alyssa's hand. Alyssa's friend greets her cheerfully. Alyssa's friend is happy to see her growing up. Alyssa's friend is also happy to see her. Alyssa hugs her friends. Alyssa and her friends go to eat cake. A friend admonishes her friend for being overly impulsive. Alyssa does not mind her friend's behavior. Alyssa allows herself to be called by her first name. Alyssa and her friends are having fun at a birthday party. Alyssa remembers not being able to attend her friend's birthday party last year. Alyssa and her friends discuss the difference in climate of their areas. Alyssa is invited to visit to show her the snow. Alyssa talks about her early childhood travels. The friends promise Alyssa a reunion after 5 years. Alyssa's father ponders what he will have to do to get his daughter to visit friends. Alyssa's friend asks her to give his message to Alyssa's father. Alyssa's friends worry that she might freeze. Alyssa and her friends thank each other for socializing. Alyssa and her friends are about to return to the manor. Alyssa's friend takes her hand. The friend is outraged by the friend's behavior. The friend is slapped on the head for his behavior. Alyssa's friend is reprimanded. A friend asks Alyssa if she likes being called by her name. The friends argue about who is right. Alyssa allows her friend to call her by her first name. Alyssa smiles and allows her friend to call her Jennifer. The friend is confused by Alyssa's suggestion. Alyssa seeks permission to call her friend by her first name. Alyssa feels that a stronger method is needed. Alyssa tries to get her friend to call her by her first name. Alyssa calls her friend by her first name with a smile. Alyssa and her friends agree to call each other by their first names. Alyssa and her friends enjoy socializing. Alyssa's friend is delighted with the cake. Alyssa celebrates the friend's birthday with his family. The friend thanks everyone for the congratulations. The friends wonder what the friend liked most about his birthday party. The friend liked how Alyssa called him Appa. Alyssa wakes up tired after her friend's birthday party. The nanny carefully tucks Alyssa in her crib. Alyssa and her friends discuss her father's plans. Alyssa and her friends reflect on her father's trip. Alyssa and her friends wonder what her father is driving. Alyssa's friends are surprised by her father's transportation. Alyssa's friend is shocked by her father's transportation. Alyssa discovers that her father drives a beast. Alyssa and her friends discuss her father. Alyssa's friends want to see her father. Alyssa is not informed of her father's return. Friends disagree with Alyssa's decision. Alyssa and her friends discuss the situation. Alyssa asks her friend to stop her friend. The friend and friend are excited to see Alyssa's father. The friend tries to stop the friend. Alyssa's friend suggests using a spirit. Alyssa doubts the success of the friend's plan. Alyssa's friend remembers the gift. Alyssa remembers that her father gave her an artifact. Alyssa is brought the gift. Alyssa summons a spirit. The friends discuss the success of the experiment. The friends get ready to go to bed together. Alyssa and the friend wish each other good night. The spirit appears in the room. The spirit reports that the father is approaching. The friends prepare to meet the father. Alyssa and the friends ask when the father will arrive. The friends reassure Alyssa. Alyssa analyzes the task. A friend notices her father approaching. Alyssa and friend see a dragon. Friend sees a wyvern for the first time. Friend scrambles to see Alyssa's father. Friend climbs out of a window. A friend worries about a friend. Friends marvel at the wyvern. Friend suggests Alyssa join in. A friend offers to help Alyssa. Alyssa realizes her physical limitations. Alyssa decides everything will be okay. Alyssa opens the window. The friends look out at the wyvern. Alyssa falls out of the window. Friends are horrified by Alyssa's fall. A friend tries to save Alyssa. Alyssa falls down. Father notices Alyssa's fall. Father is in despair. Spirit saves Alyssa. Spirit uses an artifact to save Alyssa. Father rushes to the fallen Alyssa. Alyssa lies motionless on the ground. Father is horrified by what he sees. Alyssa calms her father down. Father is shocked by what has happened. Alyssa with spirit. Alyssa says that everything is fine. The spirit takes care of Alyssa. The spirit suggests that Alyssa make a wish. Alyssa is surprised by the spirit's suggestion. The spirit informs her of their connection. The spirit realizes it has made a contract. Alyssa is surprised. Alyssa tells her father about the contract. The entourage is shocked because of Alyssa's contract. The entourage is aware of what happened to Alyssa. Alyssa is worried about other people. Alyssa apologizes for other people. Father is outraged. Alice blames herself. Father is angry with other people. The father is saddened. Alice is sad. The friends comfort Alice. A friend comforts Alice. Alice's father receives news. Friend announces his congratulations. Alice asks to register. Father and Alice are going to the capital. Alice and father begin to pack for the trip. Alice is excited. Father and Alice are getting ready to hit the road. Alice obeys her father. Alice is excited about going to the capital. Alice looks at the dragon. Alice wants to touch the dragon. Alice touches the dragon. Alice is surprised by the gift. A friend gives an egg. Father and Alice look at the dragon. Alice says goodbye. Alice looks around the neighborhood. Alice enjoys the journey. Alice arrives. Alice arrives in the city. Father calms Alice down. Alice is warmly greeted. Alice offers to rest. Father gives Alice a hug. Alice is getting ready for bed. Alice cannot sleep with delight. A worried maid asks the young lady if she is hot, but she assures her that she is fine. The little girl is embarrassed, feeling that she is being looked at from all sides. She calms herself by saying that everything is fine. A young man named Hansen appears in the spacious hall, happily greeting the young lady and expressing delight at seeing her. Hansen suggests that the young lady visit them more often, causing bewilderment. The elderly man standing next to him explains that the journey to the capital is tiring for the girl. The young lady looks at the people around her, interest and mild curiosity readable in her eyes. Hansen, full of enthusiasm, offers to visit them every summer after 5 years, but is stopped by a more reserved man. Hansen apologizes to the young lady, and she says, smiling, that she will think about his offer. The older man adds that their house considers it an honor to have such a guest visit. The young lady is offered to enjoy her stay, and she thanks her grandfather. The young lady thanks Hansen as well, while he looks at her admiringly. The table is set with exquisite dishes. The young lady marvels at the amount of food. The young lady anticipates the meal, noting that the kitchen has done its best. The chef enthusiastically awaits her verdict. Suddenly, a woman with red hair appears, demanding that the chef leave the premises. The chef is shocked. The chef is forcefully pushed out of the room, despite his protests and wishes of a pleasant appetite to the young lady. The woman with red hair apologizes to the young lady for the inconvenience, but the young lady says it's okay. The young lady glows with happiness at being at the table with her father. The father looks at his daughter with pride, noting her intelligence and kindness. The father asks if his daughter slept well, and receives an affirmative answer. He wraps her in his arms, feeling happy to have her close by. Attention shifts to the huge tower where the mages are gathered. A woman with red hair holds a young lady in her arms, saying that this place is full of mages and seems exciting. The girl eagerly waits to see what happens next. The young lady is amazed at the size of the tower and points it out to her father. The young lady marvels at the magical tower, and the hooded woman announces the arrival of Duke Draven and allows him to enter. The red-haired woman is surprised that the girl can feel like a spirit. The girl herself ponders that her father doesn't seem to know about spirit magic either. Duke Draven is greeted by a man, asking what brings him here. Duke Draven explains that he is here to register a spirit mage, pointing to the daughter. The conversation moves to the ceiling of the magic tower, where they ask if the Duke has made a contract with the spirit. He denies that he has. The Duke claims that his daughter is registering. The hooded man is shocked. The hooded man is surprised that the child is so young. The Duke reassures the girl. There is a bustle in the spacious hall. Everyone is busy doing their own thing. The Duke and his daughter observe what is going on. The Duke and his daughter are directed to the 3rd floor to register the spirit mage. The Duke and daughter walk up the stairs, passing the mages, who pretend not to pay attention to them, but watch them closely. The mages are whispering, discussing Draven's lineage and the spirit's fears of contracting with them. The mages continue to discuss the situation, speculating. A mage awaiting the Duke's arrival is warned of the delay. A young lady greets her grandfather while he congratulates her on her contract. The young lady is delighted to meet the little spirit. The mage expresses displeasure that the Duke did not come alone. The mage softens when he sees the young lady. He is at a loss for words at such niceness. The Duke apologizes for his daughter's broken necklace. The young lady shows the broken necklace with a guilty look. The magician thanks the young lady for the broken necklace. The young lady is pleased that her small gift was able to help the magician. The Duke confidently states that he has filled out all the necessary paperwork and offers to check it. The magician says everything is perfect and asks her to sign the papers. The Duke stops his daughter. A long text is written on the scroll, indicating that the registration process has been completed. Everyone marvels at the unusual way of signing documents with hair. The magician wonders if the young lady wants to take a test for compatibility with spirits, and explains what it is. The Duke assures her that the test won't take long. The compatibility test is administered, bringing up levels of compatibility. The test shows a level 2 compatibility, which surprises the magician. The Duke is proud of his daughter, saying that she is twice as strong as normal. The young lady is disappointed with the test result, expecting more. The spirit worries about the young lady. The young lady reassures the spirit. The young lady is happy to see the spirit and wants to leave. The magician is surprised by the test result. The young lady is excited about taking the test. The Duke is concerned. The magician notices an oddity in the young lady's compatibility. The mage is measuring something. The Duke worries that the spirit is too bright. The magician suggests more tests. The Duke asks his daughter's opinion. Duke assures that he will support whatever the daughter chooses. The Duke asks what tests are forthcoming. The magician begins to explain. The young lady remarks that they are just going to have to go through the same tests again. The young lady is concerned. She wants to see the city. The magician promises to prepare everything for a walk through the city. The magician is alarmed by the results of the compatibility test. The Duke demands that the measurements be stopped. The magician apologizes for the inconvenience. The young lady is amused by what is happening. The Duke ponders where to go. The Duke is happy to have helped. The magician says goodbye. The young lady asks where they are going. The Duke replies that they should prepare to visit the imperial palace. The young lady is excited to visit the imperial palace. The young lady dreams of visiting the imperial palace. The Duke suggests a walk around the city. The Duke marvels at the flowering trees. The young lady is having fun. The Duke is feeding his daughter. The Duke is pleased with his daughter's choice. The young lady is enthusiastically looking at the city. The Duke offers to go wherever the young lady wants to go. The young lady is excited. The spirit says something. The young lady notices the flowers. The young lady is fascinated. The young lady wants to buy paper flowers. The young lady is delighted. The peddler is frightened. The young lady is delighted to buy the flowers. The Duke pays the price. The peddler is surprised. The young lady is pleased with the purchase. The Duke gives the money back. The young lady is pleased to have helped. The young lady is enchanted by the view. The spirit is delighted with the flight. The peddler is surprised. The children ask to buy flowers for them too. The young lady gives a flower to a boy. The merchant is surprised by the young lady's action. The merchant and the young lady are pleased. The peddler thanks the young lady. The Duke and the young lady return home. The Duke asks his daughter about the day. The Duke wonders about the flowers. The young lady remembers the toy. The Duke is mortified. The young lady notices the sadness in her father's eyes. Duke tries to hide the emotion. The young lady calls out to her father. The young lady tells her father that she loves him. The Duke hugs his daughter. Duke asks daughter if she liked the place. The young lady is having fun. Duke asks where the young lady wants to go. The young lady smiles. Young lady says where she wants to go. The palace is in view. Duke going through the ID check. Palace in sight. The Imperial Archives. Young lady needs to hide her father. Young lady thinks it's dangerous for an adult to climb in the library. The Duke and the daughter are in the library. They meet the Duke in the library. The young lady is surprised at the familiarity. The Duke introduces the daughter. The boy introduces himself. The boy recognizes the Duke. The boy admires the young lady. The boy offers to talk. The Duke refuses the boy. The boy leaves. The Duke refuses the boy. The young lady is asked to stay with her father. The young lady stays with her father. The young lady is pleased. The boy sees the boy off. The boy asks to be taken care of. The boy congratulates on the contract. The boy gives a gift. The boy promises to tell his brother everything. The boy offers to go to the other room. The boy wants to talk. The young lady and the boy go off to talk. The boy offers to read. The young lady is angry. The boy apologizes. The boy suggests the academy. The young lady looks around the library. Boy says he can be honest. The boy says he can feel the conversation. The boy knows the young lady is keeping a secret. The boy is wounded. The wounds are visible. The boy sees differently in the young lady. The young lady's secret is more important than it seems. The young lady was helped by her father. The young lady is caught. The boy promises to protect the secret. The boy offers a deal. Boy promises to keep the secret. The young lady is shocked. Boy inquires about plans in the capital. The boy gives a book. The boy asks to think about the offer.